Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me in this talk, both people here in the room and people on the Zoom. Share my slide. All right. Today, I'm going to do a recap on Quantum Australia conference. And through that, my aim is to give you a picture of the quantum industry globally and in Australia and opportunities that are there in terms of business and job opportunities, where it's going and things like that. This conference happened in Sydney this February. It was a 3-day conference, mostly industry focused. The research part was sort of exclusive to posters. And most of the talks was around the state of the quantum technology and quantum industry. And this talk also will be focused on the industry part rather than research. So it had very famous speakers, Dr. Kathy Foley, Australia's chief scientist. She's a quantum physicist. We had professors from University of New South Wales, Professor Michelle Simmons, for example, J.M. Gambetta, IBM Vice President of Quantum Computing. He's a graduate of Griffith University. Dr. Hartman Neven from Google, and many more. So my goal in this talk is give you a general picture of the current state of the quantum industry, both globally and in Australia, and some prediction through the lens of these speakers, what they see, where it's going, and its impact on other industries, some information for entrepreneurs and investors, and some information for job seekers that want to enter quantum industry. I start with introducing Quantum Computing Brisbane. This is a meetup group, a community in Brisbane that was founded 2 years ago, but it was inactive for a while because the people who were running it moved to Sydney. So I took over late last year, and I was able to add a few more people to this. It used to be 130 at that time. Now we have 200 and something. The first talk that I did was some introduction to applications of quantum computing in optimization and how to do it on Microsoft Azure. And this is the second talk. So the aim of the group is introduce applications of the quantum computing to the broader industry, introduce investment opportunities in quantum industry, and help professionals to join the industry. My plan is to have quarterly events, like every 3 months. It will be in person and streamed. The initial 15 minutes maybe will be on new possibilities and applications of quantum computing mainly, and other quantum technologies. This will be of interest for broader industry people and quantum people. And then the second part will be some information about how to learn to use quantum computing for industry, and then followed by informal chat. So Amazon is supporting this group, and also another company, Red Eye in Brisbane. Both of them suggested that if we want a location to do this meetup, we can do it. We can do it at UQ as well, but I prefer to do it at City to make it more accessible for everyone. A little bit about myself. Research fellow here at University of Queensland. I work on AI for health and quantum machine learning. Before this, I have done research on theory of quantum physics and non-locality. Many was before that, I have done experimental quantum computing, that is just making quantum computers with atoms. Before my PhD, I did work in industry, and my final job was IT manager of big manufacturing company. And I also have done computational plasma physics. So I know a little bit about industry and a little bit about research too. So because I can make some bridge between these two. So what is quantum technology? Everything that uses laws of quantum mechanics to make some technology. The most famous one, quantum computing. Optimization is one application of that, cybersecurity, and also machine learning, which is very new. This is like mainly in its theoretical phase, unlike, for example, optimization, which is very advanced. We are just waiting for bigger computers to use them, but machine learning still needs a lot of work. And the other ones that are less famous, quantum sensing. So in many different applications, quantum has shown the potential to improve like sensing in many different areas, and also other things like quantum electronics. So anything that uses quantum physics, but most famous one is quantum computing. So the conference started with the panel of quantum state of nation. So very famous people in this panel. Professor Kathy Foley, she is a quantum physicist, Australia's chief scientist. Professor Andrew White, people at UQ and Griffiths certainly know him. He's a professor here, professor of quantum physics. He's also director of ECOS Center for Engineered Quantum Systems. And also we had Professor Michelle Simmons from University of New South Wales. She became Australian of the Year in 2018. So looking at the Australia's chief scientist being a quantum physicist and Australian of the Year being a quantum physicist shows that how important this field has become outside of university. It has been important for 100 years now inside uni, but recently outside uni. So a conservative estimate by CSIRO says that a global quantum industry by 2040 will be a $86 billion industry, very huge one. Late last year, federal government announced spending $110 million on quantum technology. 70 million of that goes for commercialization hubs to help accelerate quantum startups. Also, we had this news lately that Sydney Tech Central, which is an incubator for startups, opened its quantum terminal. It's 3,000 square meter of affordable co-working space that is assigned for quantum startups. And now Quantum Control and Quantum Brilliance, two of the most famous quantum companies in Australia, are moving in, and yeah, they're waiting for others to join too. So the message from the panel, all of them, was that we have the capability to build our own quantum industry without being dependent on any other country. We have expertise and all the knowledge that we need to do this, and the government is keen to do that. Also, Kathy Foley said that government is working on expanding collaboration with UK and US as part of the security collaboration that we in Australia is doing with UK and US. Quantum computing will be part of that too. So all these numbers and news shows that it is expanding very fast, and there are big opportunities and also impacts. There in the talks in this panel, there were a few quantum technologies that were highlighted that are made in Australia at universities and have either already is commercialized or have a very great potential of being commercialized. UQ quantum microscope in group of Professor Warwick Bowen, if I'm not wrong. So they could increase the clarity of microscope for biological applications by 35%, and also it doesn't destroy the sample unlike the normal ones. CSIRO announced its blockchain protocol that is quantum safe, because the current protocols that we have aren't quantum safe. The quantum computers can break their security. In Adelaide, University of Adelaide have made this battery with quantum batteries that charge very much faster than normal batteries that we have. And also one very famous one, which is like in use for last decade, is superconducting quantum sensors. Professor Cathy Foley is one of the main researchers that worked on that and made it commercial. And that's led to discovery of billions of dollars of mineral resources. She also shared this picture of the quantum companies that we already have in Australia. Many of you, even those who work in quantum, might have not guessed that we have this many companies already working. One of the very old one is Quintessence Lab. They work in quantum security based in Canberra. Other notable one, Q-Control, currently the biggest company. They do quantum software, mostly core level software that controls the machine. They work with many international quantum service provider and help them to mitigate the errors in their machine. And this is not quantum error correction, but other ways of controlling that error that sometimes has a very big effect. Another one that I can mention here is Max Kelson. This one is a Brisbane company, the only one among these. So I can tell that, yeah, I call them the pioneer of quantum business in Brisbane. They work on quantum software. They worked with Archer. Archer is making carbon-based quantum computers. They worked on the software side with them. They're trying quantum algorithms on AWS and IBM to see if they can gain some advantage for their customers. They do AI mainly for their customers. The next session in conference was preparing business for a quantum future. This is focused on non-quantum businesses. So how they need to prepare themselves for this. And so we had people from NEC, Ernst & Young Consulting, which is a very large, famous consulting company, international, and also Christian Wittbrook from Xanadu Quantum Technology. This one is a Canadian quantum company that is the first company that started quantum machine learning. Now, Google is extensively investing in this as well, but these guys first. So in terms of applications, if a company uses optimization in, for example, finance, logistics, traffic, soon quantum computing is going to disrupt that because it's giving you tools to do a better job. And I need to emphasize that when I say disrupt, what I have in mind is not quantum supremacy. I guess we are very far from that, but I give you through the talk, I give you some examples of very marginal benefits that you can get from current quantum computers, or you will get soon with 1000 qubit or something. That is important if you're working with big numbers, like huge money, for example. Even 1%, 2% improve is an improvement. But we are a long way away from quantum supremacy, even though there are multiple companies and research groups are claiming it. but it is mostly on applications that algorithms that are not very applicable to industry. So AI, again, this one is even further behind optimization because even the theory started recently, but it's growing fast. Communication security, this one already we have some applications. We have random number generations that are being sold by Quintessence Lab, for example. And also we have limited applications of quantum security protocols already in place for some very sensitive sectors. Like I said, we are far from substantial quantum advantage, but we can get some marginal advantage soon. My idea. So read the terms and conditions and do your own research. But yeah. For small companies, again, I don't suggest entering the area, just monitoring it. There is no value for money for you still. Bigger companies are doing it, but yeah, still too early for this. And one news that was shared in this panel, which is important for job seekers, EY and Ernst & Young consulting that I mentioned, they are hiring quantum consultants in Australia. So what they do is they talk to customers, those who are worried about impacts of that, especially on security, and they want to be ready. And these are the companies that work for defense, for example, and very sensitive ones. So these consultants work with those companies to make them aware of where this might go, and so that they can prepare themselves. Quantum software was the next panel. I have a very good interest in this one because I think that there is a great opportunity to enter this one, both for job seekers and for entrepreneurs and investors. Because there's a huge competition by big companies on the hardware side, and it's very expensive. But software, you just need to write code, you need your brain and coding capability. And you can do it at different levels, like controlling qubits, like the hardcore quantum algorithm, or at higher level, just use already built quantum algorithms to offer some easy optimization to your users. So that many different levels. And I will show you that many people that talked in this conference emphasize on this. So in this panel, we had Maria Kierferova. She's from University of Texas, Sydney, and works with Google Quantum AI, Martin Roteller from Microsoft Quantum, and Simon David from HBAR, which is a quantum consulting company in Sydney. So the main things that were mentioned in the panel, Google has now this extensive packages, CERC and Open Fermion for quantum computing and quantum chemistry. Microsoft is investing a lot on quantum-inspired optimization. This is they have a chip that I believe they do something like quantum annealing, but it's not quantum. So the good thing about that is you have many qubit-like things, and the programming is exact copy of programming a quantum computer. So this is a good area to enter if you want to do something that has applications now and very similar to quantum computing. You can try it on Microsoft Azure. There are good tutorials there that show you how to do that. And to change it from quantum inspired into quantum, you need to change one line of your code. You just change the device, and then the rest of the code stays the same. And they also mentioned that there is a huge software gap to make quantum computing accessible on hardware levels, like applications like, for example, it's very easy for quantum computers, for example, to accept binary integer programming, like your variables only accept 0 and 1, but normally you have like continuous number, or even if they are integer, they are not just 0 and 1. So their work that is being done to translate automatically from the normal ones to these binary ones, and they are not perfect. So there is room here for research and also programming. And also another thing that can be done is translating classical machine learning ones into quantum. Next speaker was from AWS Quantum. Is a computing director. They already have D-Wave, IonQ, and Rigetti available as a service. IonQ is an Eintrap quantum computer in the US. Also Rigetti. Rigetti is a superconducting one. They have QC where Forge, this is Forge, available as a service. This gives you like high level access to optimization with quantum computers. This is a software company. Also Q-Control in Australia, they're integrating the firewall with Bracket to make it more accessible for users. Next one, J.M. Gambetta from IBM, graduate of Griffiths again. So he announced, mentioned that they have this quantum hub at University of Melbourne. They're working on quantum chemistry and machine learning. And I believe soon lots of industry applications comes out of that. And also he again mentioned that there is a need for developing software in terms of like kernel algorithm and model of these different levels that I mentioned before. And he said that we don't even have 10% of the workforce that we need for these in a few years. So it's a good opportunity to enter this one. They're also working on seamless integration of quantum and classic, because even if you have good quantum computer, they don't do everything better than normal ones, and normal ones have a huge number of bits. So you basically need to use them together. They said that there will be a huge hardware component shortage for companies that are building quantum computers. So if you are an experimental physicist, electronic engineer, you know about RF, for example, especially, you can like start a company to create high quality RF components, for example, for these companies. IBM offers quantum internship in Australia, I believe still only in Sydney and Melbourne, not in Brisbane. And you can also join Qiskit community, one of the best quantum computing communities there. And you can learn quantum computing. And if you don't know quantum physics already, they teach it there too. Google. So they announced that they are investing 740 million in Australia, not on quantum and general digital applications, but a big part will be on quantum. So what they're doing already with Macquarie University, they're working with Professor Dominic Berry on quantum algorithms and, for example, error correction and things like that. Uni of Technology Sydney, Dr. Maria Kieferova, and she mentioned that Google is funding research for other universities as well. So you can contact her and ask how you can get some of that money. Yeah, they also mentioned that Google has these two packages that and are expanding that, and this is their chip, Sycamore. I believe they still don't have it as a service. I might be wrong. I guess they use it themselves. They mostly use on this and work on the software side, and most of them are open source what they're doing. And Xanadu had a talk there. They're, like I said, they are from Canada. The reason that I'm mentioning them specifically is that quantum machine learning, if you're interested in that, go to this, look up PennyLane Python package. They have very good tutorials and I teach you how to do quantum machine learning. They also have this QHack event that you can participate and do quantum coding and being something. I will, at the end of this slides, I will, on the chat, I will share some links to these things that I mentioned. Q-Control also had a chat. The reason that I included in this one, they are the biggest company. So if you're looking for jobs, keep an eye on this one. And also, they mentioned an industry applications. Which is, I guess, it's interesting for many people to know where it can be used. So I explained a little bit, I guess I did it already, but what they do is, today's quantum computers, they have very bad errors. Like some of them are just qubit level errors that they characterize and tell you, which are not that bad, 99% or something, depending on the type of qubit. But then there is crosstalk when you want to operate them and things like that. So what they do is they characterize every error that they can, and then their software, what it does is it translates, changes the shape of the algorithm to match that hardware with those errors. So to get the best that you can get from that specific hardware. And they showed that if you run it with simpler error correction methods, and then compare it with what they do, they claim that when they reach like 12 to 16 qubits, they can get 1000x improvement in terms of suppressions of error for some quantum algorithms. And they have also a very good resource for learning, Black Opal. If you look it up, and you can just go online and it teaches you quantum computing, and then also how to use this one to improve the codes that you are doing on normal computers. 330, not too bad. The quantum startup journey. So up to this point was like sort of general picture. Now I will have a few slides on entrepreneurs and investors, and then at the end also for job seekers. So we had like people like Marcus Doherty. He's the Chief Scientist Officer of Quantum Brilliance. This is also a big company now, relatively. They're making room temperature quantum computers with MV centers, if I'm not wrong. Also, Horizon Quantum Computing, they're like Singapore-based quantum software, and then Fanny-Ann Williams from Cicada Innovation, which is an incubator for startups in Sydney. So if you have a startup, these are the things that these people mentioned that you have. You need to have a long-term vision, define concrete milestones, make long-term relationship with your customers, create a very good network. And also, again, they mentioned this idea that you don't always focus on quantum algorithms and things like that, or even like knowing quantum. There are many things that quantum companies need, and the need will grow. Examples, RF components and cryogenics. If you have some expertise in that, you can invest in that. And also, yeah, expect a rewarding but bumpy journey. It's not easy, but you enjoy it when you reach your milestone. And these are some people, investors. For example, we have here Main Sequence Ventures from CSIRO, which they are already investing in a few Australian quantum companies. Also, we had Open Ocean from UK, and they have offices in Europe as well. And again, they mentioned that if you want to make a startup company, have a clear plan, have your milestone, identify potential customers, And when you're presenting it to investors, you need to like mention your potential consumers, clarify what differentiates your idea from the others. Again, creating a good network is good for everything. Have that and spend time and research to find the right investors. So are they investing in the similar kind of projects? Are they ready to take risk with something so new and then like waste your time to pitch it to them? And also something that Open Ocean from UK mentioned that they are interested in funding open source software. They already funded MySQL, which is a very famous open source database. So if you have ideas to make an open source package for quantum computing, even though it's open source, they're happy to fund it. And yeah, they say that it's okay to be a bit crazy with your ideas. They're just these type of startups, even investors looking for high reward, high risk. So don't be too shy about like having goals, but be realistic. Where a career in quantum can take you. This was some people that tried both industry and academia, and they were sharing their insights. They mentioned that, for example, startups, they have very similar culture to academia, unlike some other industry sectors that might be a little bit different. In industry, you can solve the problems of today, so you sort of see the results firsthand quicker rather than research, which is usually focused on long-term results. Research in industry is generally a bit narrow, but it's not always like that. In theory especially, you have some room to try different things. And there are many people now that are switching back and forth. One example, Professor Jeff Bright from Griffiths mentioned in this conference that he has taken time off Griffiths to join PsiQuantum. PsiQuantum is a photon-based quantum company in the US, but mostly like people in there are mostly Australian or Australian born. And yeah, he's also trying that for 2 years. He's not planning to stay in industry. He wants to come back, but he says that it will be a good experience for him. They mentioned that programming, many of roles there, they need programming skills. So if you want to enter there, work on your programming skills. And in industry, you need to be able to talk to people with different backgrounds. Normally at uni, most people around you are experts, including your supervisor, but it might not be the case in industry. So you need to practice a little bit to be able to talk with language of different people with different backgrounds. Again, have a good network. And the industry, yeah, they mentioned that the industry is not exclusive for quantum physicists. So most of our audience here are quantum physicists. So that's the main obvious things that they want, quantum physicists. But even if you are not, if you're a programmer, mathematician, electronic engineer, all these skills are needed. And especially if you're working on higher levels, that's just, you can abstract a quantum advantage and interface with that. You just need to know what kind of basic algorithm that you can run on quantum computer that give you advantage and use that in other applications. So a mathematician, for example, that works on optimization can easily do that. So yeah, don't think that it's only for quantum expert. Everyone can enter. So yeah, that was sort of the summary of the conference. I also, yeah, again, talk a little bit about quantum computing Brisbane. You can join us or contact us, ask questions. If you are interested in job opportunities, you interested in investing in quantum technologies, or you just want to keep up to date with the advances of quantum technology. So where it's going, what impacts it can have. This is like mainly for broader community, outside quantum community, that they want to be up to date. So if you just search quantum computing Brisbane, the second one will be like quantum computing Brisbane meetup. The first one will be ECOS. And also there is this LinkedIn group, and this link is also included here in the meetup page. This one I post, and some other users sometimes post too, 1 or 2 posts a week on important news in quantum computing. So yeah, we can use that one as well. Again, an emphasis on quantum software. I will be focusing on this, and also most of the talks and meetings that we will have will be focused on this in Brisbane, because I personally believe that there is a good opportunity here for Brisbane to enter without the need to compete with Sydney, for example, or like Google or IBM. So yeah, but in the end, we don't want to just confine this into Brisbane. We want to have a good relationship with Sydney as well, and other cities and towns in Brisbane that they do quantum computing. We want to have a connected, strong community. So you can also join Quantum Sydney Academy. Do I have it here? No. Just Google Quantum Sydney Academy. They basically, yeah, they're built. They're major universities in quantum in Sydney created this center, and it's trying to like facilitate commercialization of quantum technology. They have very great talks, and yeah, if you join the newsletter, you can join the talks too, and know what's happening in Quantum Australia. And again, I just wanted to mention Max Kelsen, the only quantum company currently in Brisbane. They also work on quantum software. So yeah, a huge thank you to people who supported this by advertising it, for example. University of Queensland, Griffith University, ECOS, especially Dr. Michael Harvey. He's a program manager for research translation, commercialization. And if you're interested in the available projects that you can invest on, you can talk to him. And ECOS is a center that many important universities in quantum technology are part of that, including University of Queensland. And yeah, there are many quantum technologies available for investment. So if you're interested in that, you can talk to him, or you can contact me, and then I introduce you to Michael for this. And yeah, he helped a lot with organizing and running this. Also, a thank you to Amazon Web Services. Yeah, they're going to give us a location, and for this, they gave us some AWS credits that now I just message some people on the Zoom and give them my email, and so they can contact me and get their AWS credit. And you can go, for example, try Bracket, which is their quantum service. Part of it is already free, but more advanced applications, you can use that credit. There are $20 or $50 credits. And yeah, I'm sure for next events, we will have more of these credits as well.